Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
This is episode 447 on the 24th of November 2021. Only 1 week remains for the special surprise that is coming your way on the 450th episode. Not only we will celebrate a milestone, a record breaking 450 episodes, but we will also celebrate something else, something special. What is that surprise? You will have to wait a couple of episodes more before that surprise is revealed on the 1st of December 2021. So just wait and be excited for the surprise that is coming your way very soon. But more on that surprise later. Let's move on to something interesting in the world of professional sports. As everyone knows, the Junior Hockey World Cup starts tonight at 7:30 p.m. IST, though till now it's not clear which broadcasting channel will telecast the matches because there has been no information on it on any media, whether it's print, electronic, or digital sites. None of them are clear on which particular channel will broadcast this match. Even the discussions around it are muted. Why? Because even though it's a World Cup, it's a junior World Cup. Who bothers about a couple of 20-year-old playing when we are more excited about the senior team? But yes, that's how you transition. You play the Junior World Cup, you transition from the junior team or the young team to the senior team. And yes, the results of the Junior World Cup are often seen in silos. That is okay if the team manages to win, great. Any positives coming out of it? Maybe. But that's it. But India takes on a strong team in France at 7:30 p.m. IST. So till now it's not clear which particular broadcasting company will broadcast the match. Maybe it's Star Sports, maybe it's Sony, maybe it's an unknown channel, or maybe it's only available on digital cable networks. No clarity has been done yet. But we'll wait for the match. I'll discuss if I'm able to watch it day after tomorrow. We'll see on that. But yes, if you can watch through whatever means, do try and watch the India versus France Junior World Cup match and remember that India are the defending champions. It's been 5 years since this tournament happened with a break from last year, and the excitement is not there much because the teams came in quietly. If this was a cricket junior World Cup, there may have been more excitement, but because it's a hockey World Cup, even a football junior World Cup gets some form of excitement, but this remains under the radar and muted celebrations happen. So let's see what happens. As I said in the last episode, a couple of very good teams are in India's group. and it will be interesting to see how this tournament progresses. But let's move on to other professional sports. As I discussed last week, the Survivor Series pay per view is now the final pay per view as far as the professional wrestling world is concerned. As far as the WWE is concerned, this is the final pay per view of 2021. And let's look at how the matches went. First is the look at the individual championships. As everyone knows, there was a huge match between WWE World Champion Big E versus WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, and the match went back and forth. And for a while, it did not look as if Roman Reigns had the reins, but Big E got injured while trying to attempt a splash on the apron. Reigns took advantage, couple of Superman punches, couple of push into the steel steps, and Reigns retained and won the match, which means SmackDown had a point. Like last year when Reigns faced Drew McIntyre, who was the WWE World Champion last year, Reigns has been the common link to all the matches that have happened so far. In the past 1 year, other champions have changed in the men's and women's division, both tag team and individual, but Reigns, since returning in August 2020, has retained his championship for over 450 days, and that's how things are. And moving on to the women's champion match, it was SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair versus Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Another match which went right down to the wire, using questionable methods to win and making a huge deal out of this rivalry. Though I don't know what was the huge deal, because these two have been facing each other since 2014, ever since becoming a part of the roster, that is the main roster coming from their development days. These two have been facing each other for championships, in tag teams, individual matches, main events, whatnot. So this is not the first time the two faced each other. If there's rivalry between the two, it's been going on for the past 6 years. So I don't think what was the big deal. Yes, Lynch went on to win the match, and as everyone said, beating the other champion at her own game. But then when you're in sports, a bit of dirty methods to win is acceptable. If the referee or the umpire doesn't catch hold of it, it's legal. If the umpire or the referee catches hold of it, yes, you can call it dirty. But it's not dirty, it's not questionable if the referee or the umpire cannot detect that. And once the pinfall happens, even if it's questionable, if the referee or the umpire did not see that particular move, it's clean. Then moving on to the third individual championship of the night, which happened on Monday morning and Sunday night in the US. It was the WWE Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura versus WWE US Champion Damian Priest. It ended in a disqualification because they have started creating this character, this caricature around Damian Priest, who, when agitated, loses himself, and he did exactly that. He threw a couple of chairs and smashed Nakamura into the steps, and then smashed the guitar on his back, which forced the referee to call off the match, because this was a normal match, not a no disqualification, no timeout match. So it ended in a disqualification, which is never fun. Winning through disqualification in professional wrestling always asks question of the opponent or the person who does things to disqualify, who attempts moves to disqualify himself and lose the match. If this was a regular match for a championship match, when you feel that your opponent is heavy on you, as we have seen in other championship matches and we have seen all over the world in professional wrestling, the rules are the same. You do not win via disqualification or timeout or count out. You only win via pinfall or submission. What is pinfall? When the leg is raised and the referee goes 1, 2, 3, or pinfall is when the opponent taps out. So here, if this was a regular match and had he attempted something, had he thrown a chair or a table or something, or using some external apparatus which is not part of the match, the referee would have called off the match. And I often question this, that maybe it's time that title should change hands via disqualification, which includes low blows, using of candlesticks, tables, chairs, or any other external apparatus. Well, let's leave that to the technical committee who decides, or professional wrestling all over the world decide that maybe it's time. It's been going on for so many years. Maybe it's time to include disqualification as a criteria for title change. We'll see what happened, but that's what happened. Now let's move on to the tag team championship matches. Just a couple of tag team championship matches. As it happens every year, you had Team Raw versus Team Smackdown. It's been happening since 1999, when Smackdown became a second brand for WWE. Before, there wasn't much of a Raw versus SmackDown story. So till 98, it was just another pay-per-view. Post 99, when SmackDown became a proper brand, and it has gone on to survive in the face of Raw and everything, it became even more interesting. But the interesting thing about the Team Raw and Team Smackdown for both the women's and men's team is that last year they were on the opposite brand, and here they're on this brand. Seth Rollins for 1 year was on SmackDown. He led Team Smackdown. This year he's on Raw, so he leads Team Raw. He was drafted to Raw. Most of these individuals keep changing brands depending on the need of which brand needs a balance. So when there was Rollins and Reigns on the same brand, it would have led to much heated things. So they decided to put both of them on separate brands to balance it out, and that's how it is. So for me, it doesn't matter which brand wins, because, for example, once upon a time, Drew McIntyre was a WWE World Champion, part of Raw. This year, he's part of SmackDown. So wherever you are, you have to be happy with the situation. But Raw had a higher win percentage, but it has mellowed down compared to what was happening before, or maybe my viewpoint of looking at such tournaments has changed, whatever. So whichever team wins, good for them, but they keep changing hands. It happens, it will continue to happen. You never know, tomorrow the likes of McIntyre, Woods, Hardy, Corbin may find themselves on Raw again. Or maybe they have a 2-year deal at SmackDown, they might go to Raw after 2 years. So it doesn't matter which brand you are on, because you keep changing hands, keep changing brands. Then we move on to the final tag team championship of the night. The sixth match, it was between the Raw tag team champions RK Bro and the SmackDown tag team champions, the Usos. Another close match, and it was difficult to know which team had a higher win percentage, because it kept on going back and forth, but all it required was one RKO, as one often says, from nowhere to end the match, and that is exactly what happened. So this is how the 6 matches went down, though the Survivor Series, which was known for things, for some exciting moments, that part has died down or mellowed down a bit, but still it was a great match. You could be a world champion one day, universal champion the other. The same women wrestler could be a SmackDown champion and Raw champion the next year. Title changing hands. Same for the tag team champion. Same for the team Raw. You could be on any brand at any point in time. So there are no loyalties. Just as it happens in professional sports, in domestic tournaments like the Indian 20 over domestic tournament or the various football leagues or domestic tournaments, you could be on any team. If your managers feel you are not adding much value, they release you and they get someone else. Or if you have two players of the same caliber, then they will probably put you in different brands. And that's how these things are. And that's how this particular pay per view went, which was, as told by the WWE management, the final pay per view of 2021. And now, before we move on to the next professional sport, let's take a short break. Welcome back after the break. Now let's look at other professional sports that are happening right now. Everyone knows that India New Zealand Test Championship starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. IST, And this is the team that I've chosen. So I am disappointed with a few players not selected and the bird brain selection committee who has deselected a few players. Of course, it's disappointing, but let's not dwell on what is not possible. Let's dwell on who are available and which 11 can play and who are the 4 or 5 players as the substitutes. Though one knows that no Pant, no Kohli and no Rahul available as they are given a break. They will be back in the next match. So for this match, it's a team which one can think, is this the perfect team? Does this team have the experience? We can question. I don't mind, but I think this is a very good team. Let's look at this. Rahul not available for me. Gill and Agarwal open. Pujara is at number 3. One can question his strike rate, his averages, not scoring centuries for 3 years. If you ask me, I don't care. He may not score a century for the next 4 years. He's in my team nevertheless. And those who are questioning this, they better look at themselves before they question all this no century making drought. And then at number 4, Rahane as the captain keeps his position. He's also under pressure for being unable to score centuries. One can keep questioning that, but I'll keep him in the team. So first 4 are Agarwal, Gill, Pujara, Rahane. By default, they will have no option but to go with this. And then comes a caveat. Who will be at number 5? It will be a choice between Shreyas Iyer, a good player, and Surya Kumar. The question, why weren't they included before? Because you have to move on from certain players who will, of course, reach a point where they will no longer be part because of age concerns. But I will choose between Shreyas Iyer and Surya Kumar. And then as far as wicket keeping are concerned, we don't have too many options. Rahul is not there, so we don't have a decent keeper. I would have included Rahul as a keeper if not for the fact that he's been given a rest for whatever reasons, injuries, form, whatever. It's irrelevant. So I will go between Iyer and Surya Kumar as number 5, and then I will throw the gauntlet in the deep sea and give it to Srikar Bharat. But between Riddhiman Saha and Srikar Bharat, I'd rather give it to him. Whether he has any first class or domestic experience or not, I don't care. For me, he's in the team. I saw him play in the domestic competition. He can score fast. He's a decent keeper. And I rather have someone who scores 60 of 80 ball than someone who scores 10 of 80 ball. It's not the question of strike rate. It's a question of who can give the momentum, because you already have Pujara and Rahane doing the job they do, doing the job Dravid and Lakshman did. You would fall asleep when Dravid and Lakshman batted, though there were some advantages of when that happened. So whether he has experience, whether he can keep on turning pitches, swinging pitches, I don't care. He's in my team. It's a gamble. It's right, wrong, I don't care. Now I don't even have an Ishan Kishan in the team. They may include Ishan Kishan in the context of Rahul's rest. I don't know. Or they may get Prithvi Shaw in the context of Rahul being rested. Maybe. But this is my wicket keeper. It may not be for tomorrow, but it's my team. As I said, everyone has a right to declare their own team, and this is my team. And then, of course, by default, you are in India. So if you're in India, Sri Lanka, our neighboring countries in Pakistan and Bangladesh, you will have to go with 3 spinners and 2 fast bowlers. You could go with a 4th spinner, but that will be a little too much. So 3 all-rounders in Jadeja, Ashwin and Akshar. The selectors, I question the selectors for not including a fast bowling all-rounder. No Bhuvneshwar Kumar, no Venkatesh Iyer, no Hardik Pandya. A real question on the thought process not to include talented all-rounders like Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Hardik Pandya, or even throw Venkatesh Iyer in the deep sea and say, go and play a test match. Who cares? If you have experience at a domestic level or not, it doesn't matter. And that's how it is. Do something different. Let's not be so conservative. We have seen worse things happen in these situations. And then, of course, the best three spinners available as far as the 5-day match is concerned. Three good all rounders as well. So Jadeja at 7, Ashwin at 8, and Aksar at 9. And then comes the question: no Bumrah, no Shami available. So it's a choice between Prasidh Krishna, Mohammad Siraj, Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav. I'll go with Siraj and Ishant, two good bowlers who can also contribute with the bat if needed. Of course, Umesh Yadav can also do it, but it's of course between Siraj and Ishan and Umesh and Prasidh Krishna, because no Bhuvneshwar Kumar available, no Hardik Pandya available. You have to go with this. So this is my team for tomorrow. Don't be surprised if they go with Saha because of his experience and of the fact that he can keep two decent spinners. Well, that depends, but this is my team. You can keep questioning it. So once again, Agarwal, Gill, Pujara, Rahane, a choice between Shreyas Iyer or Surya Kumar. Both are good. Whatever the team management wants, go with it. But that's my team. And of course, questioning the selectors on not including another keeper in Ishan Kishan. I don't know who says that he can't play 5-day matches. If you can hold the bat, it doesn't matter if it's 5 days, 20 overs, 10 days, 50 overs, 100 overs, you can play. Skills don't matter. There are no test specialists, there are no white ball specialists, red ball specialists. All these discussions are useless. Then maybe it's time to have the same silos in commentary also. Because there are a few commentators who have no idea what it takes to play, let's say 5 day. Let's have limited commentators as far as test matches are concerned. Why only have this distinction without a difference only with the players? Why not with the commentators? Why not with the so-called journalists who write this? So journalists don't matter. So that's how it is. So therefore I am really annoyed with the selectors for not including once again Ishan Kishan, Hardik Pandya, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and a couple of others, even Venkatesh Iyer. What about even including off the cuff someone like Rituraj Gaikwad or Devdutt Patikal? You think they can't play? Who decides they can't play? The selectors. What standing do the selectors have? Their own career didn't have any standing. What standing do the selectors have when it comes to selecting players? So yes, questionable selections all the way. Those who are not playing, that's a different story. Let's not question that, but that's how it is. This is my team. You can question whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I'm not concerned about that, but this is my team. So 3 spinners, if you're in India or the subcontinent or the Asian conditions, this is what your team will be. So once again, Agarwal and Gill. I would have wanted to make Gill the captain. It's too early, so let's wait on that. Agarwal and Gill as the openers, Pujara and Rahane as the 3 and 4. A choice between Iyer and Surya Kumar. Then Bharat as the keeper. Even if I've included him, give him a chance between Saha and Bharat with no other keeper available, no Pant, no Kohli, no other player available. This is my team. You can question it for all I care, but that's my team. So Agarwal, Gill, Pujara, Rahane, Iyer, Bharat, Jadeja, Ashwin, Akshay, Suraj, Ishant. And that's how the team will be. If it's not good enough for you, then tell me what your 11 should be. If you're not interested, then you can put a tape to your mouth. But yes, a few good players not selected on what logic? Of course, you have the A teams. A teams don't matter because when you have a B team selection committee and a F team commentary team, then who decides what is the A team and what is the B team. But whatever happens tomorrow, I'll discuss on Friday as always. But for now, let's take a short break. So this ends episode number 447 as we climb towards and go towards a special 450th episode where I will reveal a special surprise. But for now, stay tuned for the next episode.
For more awesome content, tune in to the next episode of the weekly show with
And I will be back on 26th of November 2021 with episode number 448 at 10:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Till then, you can add these 3 books in your must read books column.